So if she gets,
Still, if she's still on.
as long as she's still on. So the thing dies then.
She's out of court.
Okay.
She's present.
So you guys have anything?
Sure.
You guys have anything? We're gonna start. Technically, we don't have quorum right now, right? That's what I
Yeah.
understand.
Just go ahead.
So we're just gonna go ahead. And
We can
motion
start.
for it. We'll just start now. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Alright, hello everybody. Thank you for coming to this meeting of the Kalihi Palama Neighborhood Board meeting. I am Chair Pro Temp by reason of protocol because I thought we had our vote taken care of the last time. So right now, that's where we're at right here. Thank you all for coming. We have a real light schedule today, but I do ask right now just a moment of silence for what happened with Lahaina. Thank you very much. So we'll just go right into it. We'll just go ahead and start. We do not have a quorum currently, so what we're going to do here is we're just going to strike agenda item number 2 for now. We'll start out with the monthly report, so we'll go with Honolulu Fire Department.
I don't see anyone.
Okay, we might be responding to that one in line too. HPD District 1.
Good evening, Chair and everyone in attendance. Lieutenant Arnold Sugusio, representing the District 1 Community Area Responsibility of HPD. Thank you guys for your time and patience. I'm going to be providing you guys the statistics for your particular area on our side. If you guys want more specific information, you guys can go to the public website, www.honolulupd.org. Statistics information for the month of July would be motor vehicle thefts were 4. From the previous month, it was 3. Burglaries were 2. Previous was 0. Thefts were 3. Previous 2. UMVs or car break-ins were 5. Previous to that was 6. Assaults were 0. Sex assaults were 0 for both months. Graffiti cases were also 0 for both months. And drug offenses were 2. Previous to the month was 2. I also checked for the other categories of robbery and catalytic converters. Robberies, we found 2 cases. Physical force was used in that. And I think in those cases, the commonality of the theft were cell phones and wallets. 0 catalytic converters for this past month. Total calls for service for your area was 301. Previously, it was 267. So there were 34 more calls for service for the area compared to the previous month. There's no criminal breaches to report at this time. Just an update, we're nearing the August 20th start date for the new 313 schedules for patrol. We're excited for the upcoming change, and we are just wanting to reassure the general public that there will be no interruptions in service during the transition. We also have high hopes that the new schedule will help us fill open beats and bolster staffing. Safety tip for the month of August involves credit card skimmers. This criminal trend has moved in from the mainland, and HPD has had several instances of this type. We're asking our community members to first look at the device. If there was a skimmer added, it would not look factory. There would be some sort of bulky piece attached, that would be out of place. Another suggestion is to ask the sales representative if they had checked their credit card readers prior to the start of their shift. And if not, then obviously do what we said to just make your own personal observations of the device. Thirdly, I advise the community members to make sure that their credit cards has the feature of the notifications of unusual purchases, especially if these purchases are being conducted from out of state or even out of country. Finally, if you do not have these notifications, if you have these types of notifications, please do not hesitate. Automatically call HPD and contact your credit card companies to immediately stop any further illegal transactions. So at this time, I'm going to yield back the rest of my time and take any questions from the board.
Okay, is there any questions from the board for District 1?
Is this related to just community business, or do I have to speak what you talked about?
You guys, it's District 1, so it's our smallest one. Like if you're talking about like where you're living at is in 5.
Okay.
So it's,
No, but I mean, it doesn't
Yeah,
change, the
yeah.
district doesn't change. But I'm curious about if the department is getting any kind of concern about battery bicycles riding all over the place in nut form, because they just go crazy, man, you know? And I don't know what to do about it, but they sure are abusing the rules. I just thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a very fantastic question. So I'm working with a senator right now in trying to maybe pass some more regulatory legislation in regards to these recreational vehicles, as we call it, because they are not pedal assisted. They're just electric motor assisted. Yeah. So there's a total difference. So if you see those e-bikes that is pedal assisted, so they still have pedals, those are pretty much considered still bicycles. Other than that, the dirt bike looking ones, and they don't have pedals, they're considered recreational vehicles. We've had some instances of accidents involving those, and those people who are operating those recreational vehicles are cited to the fullest. Yeah, so unregistered, you know what I'm saying, not licensed, not safety checked, all of that kind of stuff is the citations are being imposed. But there should be better legislation because some of these people are being told by the sellers that it's legal to ride on the road.
Well, they abuse the rules, even if you've got pedals. They go fast, they go in and out of traffic, it's just nuts. They go on the sidewalk where pedestrians are, so, you know, I'm just curious if the department has got any feedback from the community, you know?
Yeah, we have our legislative liaison who is being run by Major Braden Ogata. We did pass that information to him, and he's working very closely with the legislature to get some of the regulatory rules and regulations imposed in these types of vehicles and stuff. It's very difficult to enforce because just realize these vehicles are very agile, and it's very dangerous for us to involve ourselves in a pursuit. Obviously, most of these people are not going to stop, and if they get hurt, then we're kind of responsible also. So
Yeah.
the risk and rewards are always tested, yeah, anytime we try to stop these vehicles.
I got you.
any other comments? Okay, any questions from the community? Senator Russo, thank you very much. Just one thing they may want to consider, I think, just in general, is even if it's, you know, bikes or whatever, anytime you see a sidewalk, I notice that sometimes you have a bike that's just coming right from behind. It doesn't matter if it's a pedal or whatever, but having, I mean, I would call it the common courtesy, but just a bike or something that just indicates that, you know, that they're coming from behind, could prevent a lot of, different things. So just one of those small little things to consider. I don't really have anything for District 1. Most of my questions are 5. One thing I did have is, can you just elaborate on that new schedule you're talking about? Was it more hours, less days, or what is this new schedule?
Yeah, so it's a 3-13 schedule. So we're going to be working 3 days at 13 and a half hours a day. That is to accommodate the overlap so that there's no, just like I said, there's no skip in service in regards to when our watches do switch over and stuff like that. It gives a lot of the officers a lot of free mental health and health time for us, because that extra overlap, we're going to be allowed to use that for physical activity or for a mental health, wellness kind of stuff. Yeah. So that's kind of important. And then, yes, 4 days off, but just realize that we're going to be working 3 days, yeah, at 13 and a half hours each.
Okay. Well, that's what works. That's what works. Nothing else. Thank you very much, Lieutenant Lucio, and your officers. Be safe as well as you out there.
All right. Thank you. Have a great night.
You too. HP District 5.
Hi, this is Lieutenant Keone Hong from District 5, Kalihi. Going over the July 2023 stats. Burglaries, there were 9 compared to 8. Motor vehicle thefts, there were 43 compared to 21. Seems like a big jump. I looked into it a little more. 13 were attempted, where no vehicle was actually taken, and 7 were mopeds, compared to the previous month, where 2 were attempted and 4 were moped. So a lot of them weren't vehicle taken, actually, just attempted. Thefts, there were 57 compared to 42. And car break-ins, there were 17 compared to 15 in June. Total calls for service were 2,978 compared to 3,030 in June. If there's any questions, I'm available now at this time.
Okay, is there any questions? Go ahead.
Hi, so I just wanted to report, on White Camino, they had completed doing the sewer pipe replacement fronting, Underdogs. So that lane used to be a bike lane, that's now turned into a parking lane for those big, semi trucks. So I'm not sure, I called HPD to go over and cite them yesterday, because every day when I come home during that same time, that's my route, there's always a car parked in that lane. And I guess the next one would be for, FMB to restripe the lanes on White Camino. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, but I'm not sure if do they still have work, because they probably have a permit, and I don't know if the permit is still in place for them to park there and restriping and whatnot. Do you know if they still do work in that area, or
Yeah,
you said?
the work is complete because they put grass already and all the heavy equipment are gone. So I guess I'm referring to the new renters for right next to Underdogs. There's it used to be the mochi shop.
I see.
So now there's a big trucking company that uses that road as their parking.
And then it's not properly marked. That's probably why they do it.
But
Is that
yeah, it's probably why, but it used to be a bike lane, because I use that and my husband's like, don't go over there, it's the bike lane. I go, but there's no markings whatsoever. So it's
You
below.
probably gotta. That's
Didn't
a
have,
good
but
observation.
above.
You probably gotta contact the appropriate agency to do that, because once they do properly mark the area, then we can enforce it.
We still have the mayor's,
The mayor stuff, okay.
Yeah.
And then a lot of drug activities going on below Nimitz as well, and gambling. The gambling house on the corner of Awiki Street still active. The squatter house on the corner of HOE and Kalihi Street, they came back in, they live in there. So there's drug activity going there. 1724 is a vacant apartment building with squatters. I know because my husband and I went there to look if we were gonna purchase that, but we decided not to. And then further down on Democrat Street, I reported on the 311. Drug activity.
Okay. That 1724, was that whole street, you saying?
No, Democrat,
1724 Democrat?
yeah.
If you reported it on that information hotline, I'm sure there's officers in the narcotics vice that are taking a look, and those are known locations, so they probably are looking periodically. Thank you.
It could be 1724 or 1722. It's a 4-unit apartment building. So we went there and it's like squatters all in there, drug dealing going on, so we walked away.
See. Do you know who owns it, since you were kind of looking at it?
Ibisu Zaki or something like that on record, on file.
Okay, we can
It's
check.
a trust between 4 siblings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
okay, anybody else? Go ahead.
Hi, Doris House here, and I just want to say thank you to the police department in my neighborhood. You guys have really cleaned up my neighborhood. I live on Banyan Street, right by Kanoa. And since the gaming house on Palama has been taken out and people have been moved off that street, the elderly, the Kapuna, are back out walking in the evening, and little kids are out there, and no one's cruising. Like, hardly anybody even goes down Kanoa now. So thank you very much. I just wanted to say I appreciate it, and when the policemen drive by and they wave, it's really nice. So thanks.
Thank you.
I got one more question.
Yeah.
You know about that upcoming change in schedule for you folks, that 13.5-hour days for 3 days a week? Does that include hours that you'd have to appear in court?
If your court is subpoenaed during your work hours, then yes, you you can possibly be on standby if you work within the district of the court, or if you do have to attend, then it is on duty time.
Okay, just asking, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, anybody from the audience? Is any?
Yep.
Oh, is there anybody? No? Okay, you know, I did have a question. You were talking, I think it was you were mentioning about the, was it you were mentioning about the skimmers? Was that, or was that the tennis we said? Sorry, oh, from before. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have anything here, for that. I think I asked all the questions for District 1, I was gonna ask. There's something that, well, actually, I can mention this. So on Nimitz Street, for example, you have companies that are now parking on the sidewalks. And I mean, I know that, yeah, okay, right next to it, there's the road that's basically closed. But it's just bad to just have that kind of, I don't say example, or just so they can just, you know, have that kind of practice or behavior. So if we can look at that, I'm trying to remember where that is. It's on Dillingham, along. It's right across from the power junction. I think I can give you guys more info. There's a bus stop there. It's just right where Keppel is, or along that area. There's all these different vehicles that are parked there. People are telling me that it was hard to get wheelchairs and at least walk around there because they had all those cars that were parked on the sidewalk, the way that they were parked.
The best way with those, especially if it's on view, is to call at the time, like 911 at the time, especially if it's someone in a wheelchair or whatnot, then we could take immediate enforcement action. But I will have the officers run down that street and see if there are violations, but that would be the best. And then you can get an exact location, the exact vehicles involved, and we can take appropriate action. Thank you.
I know you have, oh no, go ahead.
No, we'll take a look in that area.
Yeah, I do know, because you have your special duty officers. I know that's, you know, special duty, but just something that, you know, it's not, it might be out of their purview, but just since they're there, you know, and it's, you know, they were on other than special duty, you know, to just kind of, you know, guide the business in the right direction of not doing that to block those areas. But other than that, thank you very much. I know you guys got a lot ahead of you, and hopefully that new schedule works out.
Yeah, we were actually B12 for a year now in our district, so it's not much of a change for my officers. But the other 6 districts that weren't, they're probably gonna have a lot of different changes to get used to. But thank you.
Appreciate it. You have be safe out there, your officers as well. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Board of Water Supply?
Hi, good evening. This is Iris Oda. In your district neighborhood board, there was 2 main breaks. July 1st, a 6-inch near 2188 Kamehameha Highway, and on July 30th, a 16-inch near 1299 Hart Street. I just have one general water announcement. So it's disaster preparedness. So it's summertime, which means it's officially hurricane season through November 30th. So being prepared and having an emergency kit available for your household is essential. So residents should store at least 1 gallon of water per person daily for at least 14 days. And don't forget about your pets. And during an emergency, stay tuned to media reports and subscribe to the city's hnl.info. And that's a great way to receive information bulletins by the Board of Water Supply and other emergency agencies. So go to our boardofwatersupply.com website to get more information. And so that's all for my announcement. And sorry I missed last month because I was attending the Kalihi Valley by accident, and I was wondering why I couldn't log into your meeting. So sorry about that. But, if there's any questions.
Any questions? Board members for Board of Water Supply? Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I know that this isn't related to BWS, but I know it's related with Tyler, but I'm just curious still about the update between like Resident Clayton from last month.
Oh, Richard Street?
Yeah, Richard Street in terms of.
I don't know if it's them, but if they want to comment on
Yeah,
that.
is there, do you guys have any comments or anything you may want to add about what's going on with Richardson Street
It's Richard Street,
Richard Lane.
Richard Lane rather.
It's the sewer, yeah.
Yeah, it's a sewer,
It's not a county road, it's a private road, but it still has that. So BWS probably wouldn't, but I'm sure that, part of it.
If
But
it's,
I mean, it's up to
I,
you.
yeah, so I would just say that I'm not familiar with what you're talking about, but I hear you guys saying sewer, which is a different department. That's another city agency. So if you're gonna need comments or questions, you'll have to ask the mayor's representative to get some input from the ENV or
That's,
DDC or whomever. Okay, thank you.
that's completely fine.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No,
No,
that's
it's
fine.
alright.
And it's good for people to know because, when you hear, they will talk to some agency thinking that they're responsible for something and then they're not and then they get frustrated. But again, it's always a learning opportunity too as well.
True.
Iris,
Yeah.
anything for you for right now?
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Appreciate it. Don't worry about last month.
Aloha. Thanks.
Hart? Harry, I don't know if you're on.
Yeah.
Is he on?
Yes, hello, good evening, everyone. Also apologize I wasn't able to attend last month's meeting, but congratulations to the new board members. Just a quick introduction, if there's any new members, my name's Harry Cho with the Honolulu Authority for Rapid Transportation, or HART. We are the city agency that oversees the construction of the rail project. Also, who typically joins with me, I don't see her online right now, but typically who also joins me is Gabby Camacho with Non Inc. And also who's online right now is Patrick Watson with Coluccio Construction. Non and Coluccio are HART's contractors for the utility relocation work. Non is the contractor working on Dillingham, and Coluccio is the contractor that's working in Iwilei, downtown Chinatown, and Kakako. We're all part of the communications team for our respective companies, and we'll try to be here every month to provide any updates or answer any questions. So there were two questions from the previous meetings that I have responses for. The first one was from the May meeting. I actually emailed this response to the board, but just for anyone else listening, a board member asked about property acquisitions and what happens if an acquired property is no longer needed. I checked with our real estate team on this, and the process for that is if real estate has been acquired for the project and is later determined not to be needed, it is considered excess property. Excess property may be disposed of in accordance with FTA and city regulations. One of the options includes to sell it back to the original owner with FTA and city council approval. So that's the process for that. The second question was from last month's meeting. This might also be in the mayor's report, but I could provide a response for that now. A community member asked about how rail construction has affected businesses on Dillingham. And it was also mentioned that there were concerns about the cost of the overall project. So to answer the first part, our construction does require lane closures and short detours around Dillingham, but access is maintained at all times for all properties. So you should always be able to get in and out. There are instances where we either work in the driveway or have construction on private property, but when we do, that's all coordinated in advance with the property owners and the tenants. For those that might not be too familiar with the different routes you could take around the Dillingham area, we also work with Google and Apple Maps to correct the routes to match the current traffic conditions. So that way, if you might have a little trouble getting somewhere, you could put it in your Google or Apple Maps, and it'll take you through the correct route and won't lead you to any restricted turns. So that's another way that we've been trying to mitigate the public impact. And lastly, we do a lot of public outreach to try to keep the community informed. We actually hold community meetings every other month online for both the Dillingham project and also the utility work in the downtown Kakako area. So the public's always welcome to join that. During our construction, one of our goals is to minimize public impact, and we're always looking for ways to improve the traffic conditions and the public access to places. But at the end of the day, the work on Dillingham is necessary and a critical part of completing the rail project through Kalihi. So we definitely appreciate the community's the community bearing with us through this process. Lastly, regarding the concerns about the cost of the rail project, I'm not sure if there were any specific questions, but one thing I wanted to mention is HART has a new leadership team that's been in place for only about 2.5 years now. We can't change, any decisions or how the project was managed in the past, but our leadership team is committed to looking for ways to reduce the cost and deliver the project as efficiently as possible. And I can assure you that our current CEO, Lori Kayakina, has already taken numerous steps to do that and to finish the project in the best interest of the taxpayers. So hopefully that answers all your questions. Lastly, for updates on the ongoing work in this neighborhood board area, there's nothing new that's changed on Dillingham. The current condition that's been in place for several months now hasn't changed much and will continue for the next several years. But there is one update for the Iwilei area, which is actually a small part of this neighborhood board district. But for that, I'll hand it over to Patrick.
Mahalo, Harry. Mahalo, board members and members of the community. Patrick Watson with Honua Consulting on behalf of Frank V. Coluccio Construction Company to provide you a brief update regarding the work taking place in your district. So if I may, I would like to share my screen. And I have one notification here that I'd like you folks to be mindful of, and that is the fact that at the end of this month, Monday, August
Patrick,
28th.
can you zoom in on that a little, Patrick?
Oh, sure. Let me try to do that for you. Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
It should look fairly familiar. This is the typical detour route that has been kind of going on and off for many months. But this is work that's going to be taking place Monday, August 28th to Saturday, September 1st, specifically. And this is to install some new utility poles on the Iwilei Road section here in the work zone, as well as along the Iwilei off-ramp or the Nimitz off-ramp to Iwilei Road. So that is generally what is going to be happening. So they'll be closing that off-ramp, and the detour takes you to Sumner Street. So those of you who have been through this area should be fairly familiar with that detour. They maintain the crosswalks in the area, and I know Chair Farm has always been interested about the impacts of the bus route, and there is a bus stop here, but it should not be impacted per the project manager, Jordan Leesdale. So that is generally what I wanted to bring to your attention. And then, like Harry mentioned, the work that's taking place along Dillingham, we have a minor impact on Ka'ahi Street as it connects with Dillingham, but the work taking place there is pretty consistent with what you've seen over the past several months as well. So that concludes my presentation. I also left information in the chat regarding our weekly e-blast, which we publish, that has all of this information, as well as our next business and community meeting in September. So that is the end of my presentation for this evening. Mahalo.
Is there any questions? Okay, so Evelyn and then Donald.
Hi, my question is for Harry. Hi, Harry. So you mentioned about the FDA needing city council approval. What's the website to go to once those properties, say the owners no longer want to buy back, and then it's up for auction? Because I follow the city, I follow state airport, government auctions, and haven't seen any city properties. What's the website?
I don't know if there is a website, but if there is, I will check with our real estate team and get that to you.
Okay, and then also, can I ask you about the day-to-day operational costs? Because from what I've seen in the paper, as well as other websites, through social media, it says like over $50 per person to ride, yet the actual cost out of pocket per ridership is $3. So the tax is coming out of pretty much all of our pockets. And do you see this being feasible in the long run?
For the operational costs, I would like to refer that to the mayor's representative. He can check with the Department of Transportation Services on what the operational costs are. Hart, so there's unusual split for Honolulu's rail project. Hart oversees the construction side of the project, and once the construction is complete, we hand it over to the City Department of Transportation Services, who operates the system.
Thanks, Aaron.
So I don't have any information on the operational costs, but perhaps the mayor's representative can check with DTS and get back to you on that.
Mahalo.
Donald?
Question, the Lanakila Senior Citizens Center had a first day ride on the thing, and we went all the way out to the end of the line and came back, and it goes nowhere, just
Yeah.
dead, stop, that's it. And I was wondering what is going on, and you're gonna take that big monster down the street to Waikiki or downtown Honolulu? That's an awfully big monster, if you don't mind me saying so. Can't you put it a little lower and, you know, and open the airport when you get around to it, because we need to make some money, you know?
I agree.
That's covering a lot of territory, but I just thought I'd let you know.
Cullen again. So, in regards to the rail, like I rode it too, not that first week, but a couple weeks later. It took us to a spot in the middle of nowhere, like the second to the last one, in the middle of nowhere. And then on top of that, we got on by the stadium. 2 stops later, we got kicked off, and we waited 10 minutes to ride another one. So I don't know what was going on with the rail that day, but not very many people on it, and that was our experience.
Yeah, so the
the
station you're probably referring to is the whole or actually the third station. It's actually in a area that's currently being developed. So that's probably why it kind of just looks like farmland right now. But in the future, there's I think a DR Horton development, a residential area that's being developed. So in the near future, you should see a lot more houses in that area.
An additional question, are we planning to go to North Shore by any chance?
No, currently the system is going to run from East Kapolei to the Civic Center station in Kaka'ako.
Okay, because you know, you got fruit, I mean, you got,
They have to get through their first contract first with the federal
yeah,
government.
okay. But you have railroad tracks going all the way to North Shore on the ground, if that's any help, you know. It used to be for agriculture.
Yeah, so there is potential for expansions in the future or extensions in the future. But currently the scope of the project is to first complete the initial operating segment from Kapolei to Civic Center, and then following that, hopefully there will be extensions further east, west, and possibly toward Central Oahu as well. But as of now, the goal is to just at least complete it to the goal now is to get the second segment open past the airport, past Pearl Harbor Airport to the Kalihi Transit Center, and then following that would be to get the third segment open to Kaka'ako, and following that, hopefully get to Ala Moana as well, and hopefully further west as well.
Yeah, is you guys good?
Yep.
Okay,
It's for
any questions on from the community?
Oh,
Is anybody there?
yeah.
Oh.
Angela has a question.
It's Angela.
Angela first.
Is there anybody from-
Hello.
No.
I've got a question about, okay, so it was my first time riding Hart last week, and it was a very bizarre experience, and I didn't like it. Yeah, so I mean, but I support it because it supports our communities.
Angela, what is your
It made me
question?
very dizzy.
Angela, what is your question?
Oh, so my question is, about the HART mitigation fund and the impact on businesses who supports our communities. Could you explain a little bit about uh, the mitigation fund and perhaps the impact on businesses? Thank you.
Yeah, so I believe that's a discussion that's ongoing with the city council right now. As for HART, we're just responsible for building the rail system. We don't have any type of programs to financially help businesses. Um, that's something that would have to come from other city departments or potentially our city council. But what you mentioned, I think it was called the mitigation fund or transit mitigation fund. I'm not too familiar with it, but I believe it's something that's in the early stages of discussion in the council. So I can check on the status of where that might be and report back to you next month.
Okay, thank you. I look forward to
Okay.
your report.
President
Yeah. It's more so just a comment, Vitor. When riding around Pearl Ridge, and I think some people can vouch for me on this, it starts to feeling a little bit thinner when going on the rail, and it actually feels a bit terrifying because now it's like tiny. It makes me feel a little bit claustrophobic, and same with the cars. The cars are like not working within the roads. So if we're gonna take this down to Kaka'ako, downtown, Chinatown, Ala Moana, these are places that are more heavily dense compared to Pearl Ridge. So I find that a huge concern if we're gonna start building the rail there. And it's thinner once we start hitting Pearl Ridge.
I agree.
But what do you mean by thinner?
It feels
Narrow.
It feels a bit more narrow. Sorry, that's the right word. It feels a bit more narrow, and it gives me a little bit like claustrophobic, and I start feeling like we're about to fall, kind of thing. So.
Well, I can assure you, it won't fall.
Thank you, Cards. So I don't know if it's you, Harry, or it's DTS, or sorry, BTS or OTS. The bus stops, like for example, the one that just right in front of Costco here, it's utilized heavily. Now they just have one that's just a private road, the Weinberg Road, I'm gonna call it. Is that your guys' call, or was that DTS's, and whose call was that to get rid of that bus stop right there?
So bus stops are closed based on the needs for our contractor. So if our contractor needs to work in a specific area, there are times where we do need to close bus stops or relocate bus stops. But the placement of the temporary bus stops or the relocated bus stops is typically it's usually up to OTS and the bus. They will determine where the relocated stops are positioned.
So if there's, because what you did kind of contradicted yourself. You said that it was based upon the needs of the builder at that point. But then the final say
our contractor will close a bus stop when needed based on their work. So if they're working in an area that requires the bus stop to be closed, then we'll coordinate that with OTS, and OTS will let us know where they want their alternate bus stop to be located.
Okay, so let me just understand this correctly. So the contractor themselves has the authority to close the bus stop, but then when it comes to the alternative area, that's where OTS comes into play. Or how does this work?
Okay, so if you want like a specific process, I would have to check with our traffic engineers.
There's a reason. Yeah, there's a reason behind I'm asking this. Was because when it came to this bus stop that's heavily used over here, I appreciate all of the notices that you guys give. However, after a while, they all seem the same. Not in a bad way, but if you're going to close something as big as that, there needs to be something that makes it stand out more than the other types of notices that you give. because it's fairly, I mean, it just becomes vanilla at that point if you just keep, I mean, I would appreciate, getting those, but for something that we're gonna close a very important stop where a lot of people normally go, that's a big deal. And then you're gonna move them where, and I've seen it where people look at it, they read it, and then they're trying to run across to the side, I've done this to myself, to the other one that's down there, hoping that, cars are slow enough so that you can get there before the bus. But that would have been really nice to have had something that would differentiate that type of notice, if you will, than from any other notice that we would get. So there's something to just kind of consider and think about. That's why I'm asking about, who has the authority to do that, who's doing that, because that's not a good practice if that happens again and again and again. It's very difficult for us to have that covered, kind of like, hey, this, in terms of the project, if things like that happen.
Yeah, understood. And we'll definitely, huddle internally and see what we could do to expand our outreach for bus impacts like that.
All right, thank you very much, I really appreciate it. Okay,
You do have a
Thank you.
forum.
so we have a quorum. So we do have quorum, but I'm going to say that we move into recess. So let's move into recess right now, 5-minute recess. So we have quorum. Matt is not here, Eric's not here. And if we want to go forward, we can. If somebody wants to be chair, I mean, you guys, it would basically renege on what you guys had in the first one here. So it is up to somebody if they want to, when we come out of recess, to make the motion that we table the election, and it's a second, and then we vote on that. Okay? So that's where we're at right now. So if somebody go ahead and wants to do that, we got about 5 minutes, I think, like I said, a 5-minute breather, so. I just
Okay,
wanted
can you
to-
repeat that? Sorry, I was distracted.
Somebody got candy or something over there?
It's not a squirrel.
So, the vote that we took, like we said, because they didn't follow protocol, it doesn't count. So, Amanda's not here, neither is Eric. That's who you guys voted on as to be, as part of the
Wait,
leadership.
I think we should wait till they come.
So, I agree, but I'm saying is I can't, someone has to make the motion to table.
Okay, I'll
Whoever wants
motion
to
it.
second,
I'll second it, I'll make the motion, can whatever, make the motion, I I'll don't think we
second it.
should
Yeah,
do anything while they're not here.
right,
I
so-
was excited about,
Yeah, no, and that's what I was saying, so like, that's why I wanted to go to recess, so we, kind of have this little huddle here on this.
okay,
Sounds
great. They still don't have quorum, we gotta wait for cards.
Yeah, we'll come back, but, yeah, so, like I said, we'll be back in like I said, we said 5 minutes, so that's.
Okay. You have 7, so everybody has to go first.
Everybody
Has to vote.
Everybody has to agree.
Okay.
So this is one of those rules where it's just, normally in Robert's rules, if we had quorum, right, then it would be of the members of the quorum to then do either a simple majority or 2/3, whatever it is. The way that the neighborhood plan is written, it is the aggregate of the entire board. So we need to have at this point, if we make this happen, all 7 has to agree for this motion, for any motion basically, right now, I should be saying.
So then next time we get together,
Then you guys can go ahead and.
Amanda and Eric will be here.
Yeah, and then it just goes to regular election of officers, similar to like what we did.
So just table it?
Yeah, so what's gonna happen is all of us, all 7 of us has to agree.
Yes.
So we got about a minute left.
Can we just ask for unanimous consent?
No, we gotta go down the line.
Gotcha. Okay.
So even if because I did say, I know I said it, I'm gonna have to look at that video again. I always say it. I have to look. I know I said it. So we have to go down the line, so I have to ask, Donald, I have to ask.
So you can make the
Alright.
motion and I'll second.
Okay, what are you gonna ask me, what am I?
So what we're gonna do,
Table it?
so,
Yes.
yeah, so we can't just do it, we have to go down the line. Is that correct for this one, for this vote? Is that, oh, yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so just, and that's because things were added to the neighborhood plan as it went along and just be put in. start to see how that with other things. That's why there's going to be a review. Okay, so if that's what we're gonna do, then let's just move forward on that. Let's see here.
This isn't your job to replace you, is it? To say you do such a.
Why are you yelling?
Is it? Okay, good. You smiled. Maybe.
Reconvene.
Okay, I got it. Hold on. Just give it to
5 minutes.
7:48.
Like, we just got here, so you know, and you're gonna leave us.
Best we ever had.
Oh my god, I just started doing this with this thing now, and that's amazing. Oh my god, that's the real reason for the gavel.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, ready? You guys good?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. We are back in session here at 7:48 for recess. So right now, because we have a quorum, we have to have the election of officers. Right now, that we'll go back to agenda 2, item 2. So is there any motion?
Let me ask you.
Sorry?
Angela, can you turn on your video?
Okay.
Dahlia, can you turn on your video? Are you able to turn on your video?
It's on.
Okay.
Okay.
There you go. Now you can.
Okay, so if there's any motion anybody wants to make right now?
I would like to make a motion to table the election of the officers till next month.
Okay, we have a motion to table. Is there a second?
Second, I second that.
Okay, due to the protocol of the neighborhood plan, they're gonna have to go to a roll call vote, which means I have to call a name, or is that you?
Yes.
So Adele, will go ahead and call your name and then we'll vote accordingly. So go ahead, sit down.
Okay, so we're the motion on the table is to postpone the election of officers till next meeting. Okay, so Colin,
Yes.
Farm,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Pintor,
Yes.
Walima,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
House.
Yes.
2, 4, 6, 7. Okay. 7 0 0 opposed, 0 abstain, adopted.
Okay, and just for the sake also of protocol too, because of that, we'll go ahead and strike the committees, which would be agenda item 9. So we'll go ahead and strike that because of that vote there. Filling of board vacancies. So we still have two seats available?
Correct.
Okay, the person has to be here in order for that to happen. Is there anybody here that is coming or that's online that is looking to be part of the board? If you don't see anybody, we'll go ahead and.
No.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and we will strike that. We've actually gone through with that one. Board business, that's just the regular meeting minutes. So that we can have we can go through with that. So if somebody wants to go ahead and make a motion, that we go ahead and make those minutes official.
I motion to make the minutes official for July 19th.
We will have a motion on the right on the floor right now for approve the regular meeting minutes. Is there a second?
Second,
It's moved and seconded. Is there anybody that is against
Corrections.
any corrections? You notice? Hearing none, the minutes will be approved as written. Residents and community concerns, it's about 3 minutes each, so if there's anybody who wants to go ahead and say something, they can. So is there anybody who wants to say something from the community? Now is the time. Okay,
No concerns?
no concerns? Okay, so we'll go ahead and that. Moving on to state elected officials. So we have Senator Carl Rhodes.
Elijah.
Elijah. Yeah. What am I looking at right now?
Elijah.
That's not Elijah.
I know, but Elijah, are you online?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry. Apologies.
Go ahead, Elijah.
There we are. Okay, awesome. So Senator Rhodes just has a couple things for me to share with you guys. The first is the red light safety program is totally in effect. And if you guys search up red light safety program on the internet, the first link, you click on that and it has a list of all the places where those safety lights have been set up, cameras, and then how many citations they have issued since they went live. It also says when they went live. The next important thing that Senator Rhodes wants known is that last week, the Department of Health reported 1,008 new COVID cases with a 7-day average of 128 cases and 5 deaths. COVID-19 remains a top 10 cause of death in this country and has claimed the lives of more than 1.1 million Americans. We still strongly encourage you to get your shots and boosters. Last and most important thing is don't hesitate to contact the office if you guys have any specific questions or concerns. I'm going to put the information in the chat right here. And then again, like there's people in the office, just go ahead and give us a call and we'll be able to handle your issues directly. All right. Yes. Anybody have any questions for the senator? I'm happy to take those down and then report back next week or next month.
Any board members? Anybody from the audience? Okay, I just have one. Because of the ruling that came down from Ninth Circuit, and in terms of how we deal with homelessness and also mental health, I just kind of wanted his take on that. Because he is judiciary, and whatever comes from there is how our policies will have to flow, or will that be changes to how we currently do things. And because we have an enormous amount of homelessness in our area, it will affect us greatly to what the direction and or things that they can do or not do with that Ninth Circuit ruling.
Yeah, absolutely. I will ask him his take and then report back next month. I do know that he is in full support of the current, there's a current long-term plan being implemented by the city. The police is working on it as well as the city council with regards to, again, they're really looking at how homeless people often end up in the system and going into the ER or going into the hospital or going into the law enforcement and going into the prison for some reason and then just cycling through over and over again. And they're really working on breaking that cycle. I personally attended a meeting like a month and a half ago about that specifically, and how what they're gonna do is when homeless people end up in these situations, like either in a hospital or in a prison, what they'll do is they'll categorize them into like, are they in financial need? Are they in mental health need? Or are they in like there's a third need. I can't remember what it was. But then they will basically put them in different areas and then work with them through that to help overcome that. So I know Senator Rhodes is behind that as well, but I'll get a more specific and response from him for next month.
Yeah, because it seems like what you're talking about is the person is under the care in some manner of the state, either remanded to a facility, corrections or anything otherwise. But in terms of just intake wise, or just people who are on the street, and what the Ninth Circuit did in terms of that ruling in the state of California, ruling against the state of California versus, we are part of the Ninth Circuit, so that's why it's important too as well. So that's why I wanted to take on that.
All right, perfect. I will have a specific answer regarding the night circuit next month.
I appreciate it, Elijah. We good? Okay. So Senator Rhodes, I know that he's off in the mainland taking care of family issues, so I wish him the best.
Absolutely, will do. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Senator Mercado Kim?
Nadia.
Not here.
Nadia.
Nadia, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening. So I'd
evening.
like to begin. Hi. So Senator Kim wants to emphasize that we do have a mailing list. So if you would like to be regularly receiving her newsletters or have particular interests you like updates on, please send your name to the email address I'll plug in the chat. It's our office email address, sendkim@capital.hawaii.gov. I'll go ahead and plug that in. Aside from that, the Senate is taking on judicial appointments on August 21st and 22nd for during the first special session. And so, as part of the senatorial duties, Senator Kim is meeting with judicial appointees subject to Senate confirmation. Fern and Kaivai Elementary School Preschool classrooms are now open. And aside from that, the biggest news is that Senator Kim will be participating in a town hall on Thursday, August 31st, this month, at Towers at Kuhio Park. So all KPT residents and neighbors are invited. I will put the details in the chat following my report, but now I'd like to go ahead and take any questions or feedback, concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadia. Any questions? Any guys have? Anyone from the community?
I see none.
Okay. Nadia, I just have one thing. I know it may not be your guys' committee, but it is part of your area. It's going to be a state and county effort when it comes to a four-way stop. I brought that out, and I'll bring this up also on the county side too as well, because you have Kalihi Road, which is state, and then you have King, which is county, to put a four-way stop there, and even more so because of the fact that we only have one bus, actually one, the Route 1 and the 1L, and that's not your jurisdiction, but we're going to need that coordinated effort between the state and county to put a four-way stop there. If it was just county, it would just be a county thing, but whatever that the senator can do from there, it would definitely increase the safety by allowing the pedestrians to go first, so that way that they can get to the different buses. I, speaking as a pedestrian myself, I utilize public transportation. I practice what I preach on that one. So because we have only one bus, we don't have DA anymore. I've started seeing more people in terms of their behavior and trying to just jump across as fast as they can to get, because there's only one bus. So let's see how we can alleviate that. Even before we lost DA, I wanted a four-way stop over there. Just doesn't have to be all day. It's something where it could be like, during the beginning hours of school, ending hours of school, and the intent behind that is just to make sure that people can get where they need to go as safely as possible, the fastest and expeditious way manner.
Yes, of course.
Other than that, yeah, it's one of those things. So really appreciate it if you can go ahead and with that.
Yeah, safety
and
is
also
very
that
important to Senator Kim, and she is very open and willing to interagency collaboration and other out-of-the-box thinking ideas like that, whatever works. So I will see what Senator Kim has to say and get back. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next thing is just the Honolulu Community College. There was that study. Thank you, by the way, for with that. And that study was basically looking at first to increase the nursing capacity that we have. UH was suggesting that we do an increase of our EMT, which is still a good part too. So they're gonna, there's a study, and I can give it to Zaidel so you guys can kind of see it. Senator Kim was the one who put it in from there, asking from this from our office. So if we increase that, we're gonna definitely need more EMTs anyway. We're gonna, by the mayor said that we were gonna have more ambulances on the road, so therefore we need more personnel, and that we're definitely shoring that up. So I will keep you informed on that one, Nadia. I don't think I have anything else. If anybody else has anything.
Thank you.
Nadia, have a great night. Okay, Senator Glenn Mackay.
Hi, thanks, Ken, board members. In response to the catastrophic fires in Maui last week, there was a humongous collection drive at the state capitol. They're still sorting things and putting them into containers, but as of now, we've, through the generosity of the entire community of Oahu, put together like 5 40-foot containers of items to the people of Maui. So it really shows you how the aloha spirit, when in times of need, we really as a community come together. So the legislature, both House and Senate, are very proud of the efforts that were undertaken this past week. I mentioned in last month's meeting that Amazon was going to, is slowly putting together its distribution center over at Sand Island, and it's going to be ready and operational in the spring of next year. There was a question raised last week as to how the traffic is going to flow in that vicinity. And I wanted to update, I'm not too sure which board member asked the question, but the delivery and ingress and egress is going to be on Pu'uhale Road off of Awiki Street, not on Mokuea Street. So hopefully that will not increase too much traffic for the area. In terms of job opportunities, Amazon says they're going to be looking for 500 employees. 200 of them are going to be on the delivery side. The other 300 will be in the actual distribution center. I think they're going to have a hard time finding 500 employees in Hawaii during this job market, but that's their anticipation. And keep in mind that the Sand Island facility is called a distribution center. Amazon is building a fulfillment center about 3 times as large over in Kapolei. So it gives you an idea of how much our neighbors are ordering here. 2 747 cargo planes a day come to Hawaii, delivering Amazon purchases that all of us are making online. So it just gives you an idea of how much volume is coming through Hawaii and what the impact will be of Amazon in Hawaii as well as in the Kalihi neighborhood. So that's kind of an update, all I have for you this month. Thanks, Ken.
Okay, do you have any questions, anybody?
Yeah.
Go for it.
By any chance, is there like a statistic or prediction or anything regarding the effect that this will have on small businesses or mom and pop shops? By any chance? Yeah.
There is no statistics and studies done like that. I guess the same was said about when Costco came to town, when Walmart came to town, and yes, they certainly have an effect on small businesses, but there is no statistics that I'm aware of or studies that I'm aware of even existing companies, big box retailers, and their effects on local small businesses.
All right.
Sure.
You guys good? Community, Senator, I just have 2 things. So you're mentioning about, I think you're saying 500 people. So they're saying delivery drive. I mean, you may not know this information right now, but what would be, like, say, the job requirements? Is it like a CDL, I guess, for the driver's portion? And then for distribution, what education level are they looking for in terms of skill set?
The skill set for the distribution folks, the 300 there, I don't know. It's a variety, everything from management to the box packer or whatever that position is called. On the transportation side, the 200 that they're looking for, they're not actually having Amazon do that. They're going to actually have local companies. So let's say, just for example, Ken, if you wanted to buy 3 trucks, Amazon will give you the money as a loan to buy 3 trucks. You hire, let's say, 10 guys or gals to go and deliver those trucks. So Amazon is going to contract out for the local delivery component of the way. So you don't need a CDL license to drive a van. Only a CDL for big buses and hauling containers.
Okay, go ahead.
So this is Cullen here. Will Amazon provide employee parking? 500 employees equates to 500 employee parking needed, and that area is already congested. Owiki Street in and of itself, during the daytime, if there's cars parked right outside where the wood fence is up on Amazon side, and there's big semi trucks going in one direction, leaving Sand Island on Owiki heading up Kalihi Street, they are almost always going into the other lane, the oncoming cars lane, because I've experienced that a lot myself. So it's kind of scary. I don't know if fronting Amazon where that wooden fence is going to be a no parking zone. Because if it's a no parking zone, with the big trailers, it might be better. But if cars are going to be parked there with all of these big trucks, it's going to be an accident waiting to happen. And it's going to happen often. And I can see the employee parking, if it's not being provided, it'll trickle up the block. And it's going to create chaos. And I know they probably will include independent contractors for last mile deliverers for Amazon. So I guess you have to also, when you're a contractor, you have to also be mindful that's a different type of insurance you have to carry, a car insurance, if you're using that as a business. Your vehicle is no longer a personal business, personal use, it becomes for business use. So people need to be mindful if they're gonna get themselves involved in that. And in Seattle, Amazon employs the homeless people. They provide them with housing and work. So there's good things with Amazon. At least I've experienced that. Amazon going to Seattle and saw what they've done for the community. That was a comment.
Okay, so I don't have any answers, but I will get them to you. So the two questions I'm going to ask Amazon are about parking availability for the employees as well as parking restrictions on Owiki Street. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, do they have the right to, or is that a city thing? Where there's no parking fronting Amazon?
That would be
usually, if Amazon's not there, a city thing, yeah.
Yeah.
That usually is a dumping place for stolen vehicles.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I have actually one more question. I just looked it up, and Amazon hires 18-year-olds. They don't hire teenagers. But I'm still concerned for many of the youth that may or may not want to be working at Amazon. I want to question what benefits do college students have here in Hawaii working at Amazon, and what partnerships can UH and HBU or other colleges can have with Amazon when they come here.
Okay, I don't know what you mean by what benefits. If there like any other employee, you work 20 hours, you get medical benefits, and
that's
college tuition.
Yeah.
Some
college
places
tuition,
pay.
something in terms of education too.
Like
Starbucks,
Starbucks, they pay for tuition. Target pays for tuition.
Yeah, I don't think you'll have that answer right now, but if you want to.
I know, but yeah, it's just a question that not now, but a question to ask Amazon.
okay. So did I hear like you wanted to ask about them hiring people under 18 years old? I mean, is that something that?
No. Like 18-year-olds or like 18 to like 24-year-olds, students, college students. Yes, there we go.
Okay, I understand the question. Yep, I'll get back to you about parking as well as skill sets and benefits, if any, given to college students.
Okay, Senator, I just had, so I have two things. One is, I'll follow up with your office on a question, this is more on the economic side. And then the second thing is, when I was mentioning with Senator Kim, with that study in terms of opening up for the EMT program, I don't know if it probably would fall under ETT. I'm sure that would, in terms of looking at it from, I know it's higher education, but it's part of workforce development. So I'll see what your office has to say about that as well.
Yep, happy to help you.
Okay. You good? All right. Thank you very much, Senator.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Representative Danny Holt.
No, right.
Okay. Representative Sonny Gavin. Okay. Governor's rep.
Hello, Chair. Hi, I'm here. Sorry, let me just turn my camera on. Hi there. The entire state, the entire state government, as you can imagine, is pretty much so focused on the situation in Maui. I'm going to put the governor's newsletter in the chat, but of course the newsletter was prepared long before the situation on Maui. And so the only thing that I want to report is a follow-up discussion to what Senator Wakai had just presented, as well as some of the discussion that occurred at last month's meeting, and that is in regard to the Amazon Center. So Evelyn Cullen and I had exchanged a couple of emails, and following that email exchange, DOT did have a meeting with representatives from Amazon, and we asked a lot of the same questions that you just asked now. And so I did relay to Amazon that this neighborhood board did have questions about their operations, especially with circulation and traffic around Oiki Street, as well as along Sun Island Access Road and a lot of the other surface and connecting streets. So they would like to do a presentation to the neighborhood board. And they were looking at later in the fall, maybe October, November. So if I could, Ken, I don't know if you can connect me by email to the chair or whoever it is that sets the agendas, and I can connect the appropriate parties with Amazon to facilitate a presentation. We can ask these questions directly to Amazon. And that's what if anyone has questions, I'm happy to take them back to Governor's office and the administration.
Okay, any questions?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I've been following the Maui thing, and I am just really proud of Governor Green and how he's handling this, and he's just being very honest, and I'm just really proud of your group, everybody that's involved, and so I'm glad I volunteered for his thing and voted for him, but. But yeah, I mean, it's a tragic thing, and he's really handling it well. So I just wanted to say thank you to him.
Thank you very much. That's very heartening, and I'll certainly relay that to his office. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would also like to thank you for everything that the work has been done within Maui, and I also want to thank Governor Green for also making the decision to not buy a plan in Lahaina at the moment, temporary. But by any chance, is there anything so far that your office can do to extend that period? Not like long term, yeah, not short term, but long term. Yeah.
So I think you're referring to the moratorium on the sale of lands in Lahaina and the affected area. So Governor has announced a number of times that he's having the Attorney General look into the legality of imposing such a moratorium given the emergency situation. And I understand that he'll be speaking further to that in greater detail on Friday evening at 6 o'clock. There's a media availability that he'll address a number of issues related to the emergency response, including the possibility of a moratorium on the purchase of land.
Perfect. Thank you.
Is there anything else? Dre, thank you very much. Yeah, I just want to echo the comments of what they were mentioning as well. But I think it's also, we're looking at not just the fires there, but there's also other fires that are that could happen in other areas. And one thing brought to my attention was, when we started doing, like for example, the eucalyptus on the Big Island, it was there for that purpose in terms of using it for waste to fuel energy, but now that is something that would have to address. Reason being is because it's highly flammable. So in Australia, for example, it's brought by a friend of mine that when you see those walls of top, I mean, it's not just because it's burning, it's because also the type of sap that's in there is highly flammable. So just thinking about something like Wahala, Manukau, where I have family where they come from, that would probably be just as bad, and there's nowhere to go except a cliff. So just something to kind of consider from there. Other than that, we appreciate all that you guys are doing. I did have some other things here, but they're less pressing than what's going on with everything that's going on with Maui. So, and I can follow up with you on other things as well.
Yes, Ken,
Thank
feel
you
free
very
to
much.
email and I'll get you responses as necessary.
Okay, thank you so much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mirafra, Stephen, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead,
Yeah,
Stephen.
good evening to the Kalihi Palama Neighborhood Board and residents. My name is Stephen Courtney, the mayor's representative to this board and the deputy director for the Department of Information Technology. I would like to first start off with some highlights from the mayor's newsletter. Skyline's first month of ridership. The city is pleased to announce that Skyline has seen 170,185 riders during its first month of operations. With students headed back to school, residents have more reason than ever to try Skyline. Affordable housing in Honolulu. On July 17th, Governor Josh Green signed an emergency proclamation to combat the escalating affordable housing crisis in Hawaii. Now, a collaborative effort by the state and all 4 counties will seek to streamline the regulatory processes of development of 50,000 housing units over the next 5 years. Representatives from the mayor's office and the Department of Planning and Permitting will work with the state Build Beyond Barriers work group to fast track affordable housing projects and speed up the construction of new housing. Keep our neighborhood safely housed. As housing costs increase, some of our neighbors are struggling more than ever to pay their rent and utility bills. To reach these households, 8 community events for the rental and utility relief program were held this summer along with partners. These events were part of the temporary reopening this summer. This funded $25 million in state and local fiscal recovery funds. More than 600 Oahu families applied for short-term rent and utility events. And more than 18,000 Oahu families stayed safely housed during and after the pandemic. The Department of Budget and Fiscal Services Real Property Tax Division wants to let homeowners know about the Real Property Tax Credit Program and the action that the City Council took to increase the income limit for this program from $60,000 to $80,000. This $20,000 increase allows a large number of homeowners to apply for this credit who had incomes over the previous $60,000 limit. You will need to apply for the tax credit. Applications are now available at honolulu.gov/treasury and at all satellite city halls. Deadline is October 2nd. Bill 40, recently signed into law by Mayor Blanchard, increases the home exemption amount for owners under the age of 65 from $100,000 to $120,000, and for owners 65 years of age older from $140,000 to $160,000. Visit realpropertyhonolulu.com to file a home exemption claim online or to download the claim form. That deadline is October 2nd. Board of Water Supply. Board of Water Supply every 5 years reviews the current rate schedule and structure as part of a cost of service study. BWS operations are funded by ratepayers. These rates fund capital improvement projects, pipe and pump replacement and repair, facility maintenance, water quality testing, conservation, and watershed management. BWS is a semi-autonomous agency of the City and County of Honolulu and does not receive any funding from the property tax collected by the city. They would like to hold presentations with this board. If the board would like to have the presentation made, please contact Kathleen Puhanini at 808-292-672. So actually, I'm asking the board, would they like to have this presentation made to the board in regards to the BWS rates? Actually, it's a question.
We'll leave it to the discretion of the new chair. If you're, are you done? Are you any questions?
No.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
He's asking,
So he's completed.
I was asking the board if they would like the
board.
Board of Water supply to,
That's for some sewer, yeah?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Um,
anyway,
okay.
okay, but anyway, I'll go on.
Well,
They'll contact, Kathleen.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, thank you. Now we'll go on to the, there are some departmental issues to follow up on. A resident CJ raised concerns about the loud level of noise coming from Honolulu 4 during the hours of 7 a.m. and to 8 a.m. HPD responded. On August 2nd, Corporal Robert Del Rosario visited Honolulu Ford Company located at 1370 North King Street and met with the shop foreman, Gary Givo. The loud noise complaint was explained by Mr. Givo, who related that the noise would be coming from the service center, which opens its doors approximately 7 a.m. and closes at 6 p.m. The service center is located at the Cocoa Head end of the property next to several residences. Mr. Givo related that he has received noise complaints in the past and has always worked with the residents and his workers to find the best way to address the noise. Bus routes. The member farm raised concerns with the limited stops of bus route 1L and the discontinued route A. DTS responded, the bus route 1 operates regular service and route 1L operates limited stop service along King Street through Kalihi between Middle Street and Ala Park. Route 1L provides faster service times because it serves less bus stops, while Route 1 serves all bus stops. Together, the bus routes provide frequent service for riders depending on the bus stops they use. Unfortunately, Mr. Farm, adding more bus stops for Route 1L reduces the faster travel time and will not be considered at this time. DTS understands that the restructure of Route A removed limited stop service along North King Street alignment. However, routes 1 and 1L provide frequent weekday service averaging 8 to 10 minutes during the morning, base, and afternoon periods. The next has to do with the mangrove forest that Member Young mentioned at the last meeting in regards to stop destroying the mangroves. Well, DFM responded, mangroves that inhibit stream or drainage wave flow can contribute to flooding. The city, in response to public safety, removes mangroves from city streams and waterways as resources are available when vegetation growth impedes drainage wave function. Along the Kawainini Channel, mangroves along the banks are required to be removed by the United States Army Corps of Engineers for flood protection. And lastly, in regards to Loikala Park, community member Miyagi raised concerns regarding confusion between Department of Facility Maintenance and Board of Water Supply in regards to who controls what. Currently, BWS is working with Department of Parks and Recreation to schedule a site visit and inspection. Yeah. Those are all the issues I have so far. Are there any questions from the board or residents?
Go ahead.
Hi, Cullen here. I'm asking if FMB or the city can put up a city ordinance sign posted on Mokuea between Kahai and Silver Street, as it's a known dump site. FMB can attest to that because I put in a lot of requests through 311. And also, is there a website where city real estate properties go up for auction? I follow what's currently there, and it's just vehicles or equipment or small items.
Okay, I will have to find out about the normally city properties that falls under Department of Land Management. But again, I will try to find out if they do provide some sort of auction or whatever. And in regards to the city ordinance for that street sign, what was the name of that street again?
On Mokuea Street between Kalihi and Silver Streets.
Hi.
So F&B would be well aware.
Okay. And you said you also submitted this to Honolulu HNL 311 as well?
Multiple times.
Multiple times, okay.
It's a recurring dump site. And then there's another one right behind the old Iki cyclery. I think that is Colburn Street. The neighbor being Popeyes. Popeyes and right behind it, O'Reilly. Big dump site there. I would think that the businesses in the area would report it, but they just live with it. And then also, I know Tyler Dos Santos, Tam was successful in having a home demolished, as he shared through his report. Let me see. Squatter home on Maliu Street was demolished. So on the corner of Kalihi and Hoy Street, there's a squatter home. The homeowners have addressed it, or the property owners have addressed it before, but they keep coming back.
Okay, so that will have to be addressed by Department of Planning and Permitting. But again, I will bring this up as an issue.
Yeah, can you send somebody out there, an inspector who will be doing his job, because this gentleman that keeps coming back does not want to do his job. Because for me, reading everybody else's reports, like say Tyler's district, they get things done. Ours, this guy just kind of hushes and nothing comes of it. I think he's been there a really long time, so he's just not being proactive in addressing issues or concerns.
Okay, understood.
Thank you, that's it.
Any other questions?
Yes. I don't know if this is your area, but I'm just gonna try and ask and see what happens. I saw a few rats in North School Street. So it's around 555 Auto Repairs, Parts and Repairs, which is in North School Street. And it's also by Mexico Restaurant, also in North School Street. And then there's a building on the intersection of Loikalo Place and North School Street. So I was wondering if the city could do something regarding sightings of rats. There was
So
like
it's rats.
five
Yeah,
or
for
six.
rat infestation.
I would say so, yes.
And can you repeat that location again?
Yes, it is around North School Street and Loikalo Place. This is around the restaurant Mexico, 555 Auto Repairs, Parts and Repair. And there's a building on the intersection of Loikalo Place and North School Street. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I would just like to say I'm Doris House and I'm new to this board, but I would like to say thank you to the mayor for how proactive he is in getting things done. It gives me a lot of hope when you can actually see things being done. So, yay. Thank you.
No, thank you.
So Stephen, I always want to go ahead and clarify what I was saying here in regards to for PTS. So the first thing is, let's address the 1L. The 1L basically stops at, just wanted to reconfirm here. It stops at King and Veritania, and it just goes from there all the way through, past everything else, to the Kalihi bus terminal. Okay, so is that the intent of that in the first place, for that? Or would it be better and more in terms of, because we don't have the A anymore, to use that also as a conduit, because there's a elementary school that's right there once again. There is a high school that's there that's on the same road. So would it be advantageous for them to not have the position of what they're saying right now, but look at it for what the needs of the community will be? Because if it's just taking people only from right where King and Baratania is, and I'm trying to be as nice as possible to put this here, then it does absolutely no service to the community at all. Because it bypasses every other bus stop within the area. And I was bringing this up even before we lost the A bus. So I don't know where they're getting this from. I don't know if they use the bus. But I use the bus. I use the bus and I look at things like this through the different lenses, where my policy hat and other things, is how and what is actually going to work and what's not. I understand, for example, in terms of the A bus, yes, that is what you're using as a conduit to, to get to the rail system. Duly noted. But using the as it was the one, it's not adding more stops in terms of the one. It's adding more buses to that and increasing the frequency for that. Because if the bus stops, many times there's a bus that breaks down or gets canceled. The problem is, and I've actually had this happen, where there was people who were by the H Mart Raised Cafe area. That bus went down, and it took almost an hour for the next bus to come in. So I'm asking for is to look at it from that perspective. If we add more buses to that, in terms of the frequency, then that'd be very helpful. In addition, looking at it from a 24-hour route standpoint, because of the fact that we have people who work odd and hour service and whatnot. And again, I'm going to reemphasize this here alone. Now that we lost a bus, we have just the one bus that stops in front of the high school. We still have 1,800 students that are coming out of that area. So that's, again, why we want to have the four-way stop for that safety. But also it makes much more sense in terms of an area for which a school and 2,300 students that are going to be on there, that the L1, as it was, the 1L, should have a stop right there. Other than just bypassing the rest of Kalihi, Lower Kalihi, for the sake of expediency for what? For who? For the 2,000 people that live in that one area, if not? That's only at Baratania and King? I'd love to see what the rationale behind that was.
Okay.
I've set on this as well, and I try to be nice, but I look at the needs of the community on that as well too. What is the best utilization of the services? So with that said, obviously I'm not saying that to you directly, but I'm just, for you can, check the report on it.
I will carry that forward to DTS. To emphasize the need, because in particular, you mentioned about the high school and elementary school as well as bypassing.
Well, I mean, those are areas where which you have a lot of people that are going to use that because they're dropping their kids off. If you've ever taken the bus before, you have parents who are with their kids. They're going to go on that bus and they're going to take their kids, and then they're going to go from there. And in some cases, they're going to take their kid to school, and then they're going to take the bus off to work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I look at it from that perspective. The next one I was going to mention, and I'll get off my high horse on that one, is the same thing that Evan was talking about in terms of how a home was able to be demolished. So there was still that home on a Keppel Lane. I know it's a trust, and I know that it's kind of, I don't know what the situation is legally, but it's basically burned to the ground. You can't move it, from my understanding, or because it's still within a legal trust. That adds to some of the issues that are in the area. So if there's some now legal means for that to be demolished, that would be, I think, very helpful in terms of the public safety for that, because it's already dark, but just that alone is something that is a catalyst for crime in the area, I would imagine.
Excuse me, is that the one near Lanakila Elementary?
No, you don't go to Keppel Lane?
I sound familiar.
It's the house that's all burned down. As you go
There
from
is a
Keppel-
house over there by the freeway that's been,
No, there's another. I'll show you on the map where this is. But if like if there's already precedent set, then maybe hopefully there's something that could be done for that one.
But, so you said that house is burnt down now?
It's burnt down. I mean, it was unused. It's all burned. It's on a Keppel Lane. You can't miss it.
Okay.
Just driving up there, it's the house that's on it. The only house that's there. That's burnt.
Okay, I'll bring that forward to DPP because they were, as I remember, I do remember that house from a while ago, and I know there's supposed to be fines attached to that house, but I guess I never found out what actually happened at that point.
Yeah, I guess I understand that the house is in a trust, or that they just everyone's dead. All the owners have passed, or something to that effect. But that there needs to be some formal legal means to deal with an issue like that, especially if you have squatters or other things that happen in that burned out place. And just one other thing too, I'm going to go ahead and address this issue. If a bus stop is going to be gone, such as the one that's in front of Bank of Hawaii, highly used, you got 42, 9, 43, 52, 51. I'm not missing some, but apart from there. Anyway, there needs to be something and just a larger protocol for something like getting rid of a bus stop like that, where there's now a bus stop that doesn't even show up, though it's there on the private road that's near the storage facility. I don't know how, I looked at the notices, but it just seems to just gel with all the other notices that are there. But if you're gonna get rid of a bus stop that has that much significance in terms of the amount of population that's using it, that's a pretty big deal. That's now gone. So there's something to consider. We talk about being more pedestrian centric. I don't see it in our policies. So be happy to work with you, and the chair will be as well, incoming chair. I think that's all I have for this one. Thank you very much, and I'll follow up with you on anything else.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I will follow up with those issues, and please email me if you have any further details about it, and I will try to track it down.
I will re-email you the letter that I sent from before in terms of just the one out prior to the A being lost.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilman Ray Cordero?
Good evening, Chair Pro Tem Farm, members of the board and guests. I'm Robert Sanzo with Councilmember Radiant Cordero's office. We emailed the report to board members earlier. We also have hard copies should be available at Palama Hale there. And I am dropping a link to her report in case anyone virtually would like to take a look at it. Okay, starting with the calendar of events, just need to correct some info for some of the council meetings. The budget committee on the 22nd is actually canceled, so no budget committee next week, and the transportation committee, excuse me, is starting at 3 o'clock and not at 2:30 as listed in the report. So if you go to the agendas, as I'm sure the board members know how to access, then those are the correct times and then the cancellation. Still on the first page of the report, there are two events coming up on the 26th, it's Saturday, at 9, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. St. Anthony's Church in Kalihi is hosting a community fair where a number of organizations and community service groups will have booths set up to engage with members of their parish in the larger Kalihi community. And Councilmember Cordero will be there, so please stop by and talk story with her. On that same morning from 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., the city's Stormwater Quality Division is coordinating a cleanup of the Kapalama Canal. And you can sign up if you want to participate. There's a QR code as well as the website address that you can go to sign up. And it's going to be a busy day for our offices. Half of us will be at St. Anthony, and half of us will be at the cleanup. So if you can come out to either or both, we'll see you there. If you move to the second page of the report, you see at the bottom of the second page is a long list of streets. What happened was staff from our office recently drove through areas of Council District 7, and we reported all these streets that had faded street signs or traffic signs to the Department of Facility Maintenance, and you can take a look at all the list of the streets there. Finally, if you look right above that in the report, I think a lot of us know Violet Ito Kagawa as a fixture in the Kalihi Palama community. She's a graduate and a strong supporter of Farrington High School. She celebrated her 100th birthday on August 2nd, and Councilmember Cordero was there at her party celebrating her birthday, and she presented an honorary certificate from the City Council to her. So happy birthday to Violet. That's in the report, but if it's okay, do you mind if I respond a little bit about the question regarding the Transit Mitigation Fund?
Yeah, go ahead, Robert.
Okay, so I'm just gonna try and get to this really quickly. I think some of the board members may know the history, but I'm gonna try and sum it up really quickly. The Transit Mitigation Fund is an existing fund in the Revised Ordinance of Honolulu that was created by the council in 2015 to mitigate negative economic impacts from construction of the rail project. So the fund can be expended or used in the form of grants for businesses forced to relocate or for loss of business income due to construction impacts, or as loans to be used to cover operating expenses during construction. So in 2018, the council added $2 million to the fund, and in 2019, the fiscal years, council added $750,000. But the funds were not expended by the executive branch that was in office at that time, so the funds lapsed, and there's no monies in the fund right now. So this year, Councilmember Tyler Dos Santos Tam and Councilmember Cordero co-introduced Bill 40, and that seeks to amend the ROH, the ordinances regarding the fund, to require budget and fiscal services to adopt rules regarding the application process and selection criteria for the grants and loans. So basically, the process in which the funds can be expended. Right now, once again, there's no money was put in this year, but it would have the department or the administration develop a process. The bill passed second reading and public hearing on August 9th, and it's pending committee action. It's actually in the budget committee. So that's the summary of the Transit Mitigation Fund history and what's currently being worked on now in the form of Bill 40. If anyone has any questions about that or anything in the report or any other concerns that I can bring back to Councilmember Cordero, I'm available.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Evelyn.
Hi, Cullen here. I shared this earlier, but I also want to share it with you. Take back to Radiant. In regards to 194 Kalihi Street, the squatter home. It's been reported multiple times, and as I read Tyler's report, he had a squatter home demolished. So I don't know how that can be in relation to what's on the corner of Kalihi Street, 194 Kalihi Street, because it's the same thing. And then secondly, on Waikimilo between Dillingham and Nimitz, I think it's fronting 502 Waikimilo Road. If you can ask her to have the bike lane repainted. Because now it's being used as a parking lot by CNB Trucking. That's now the current leasee for the, I guess there was a mochi shop there.
Okay, yes, Board Member Cullen, I did hear when you raised these issues earlier, and we'll work with, I think Deputy Director Courtney also received it. So we'll work with the administration to follow up on these two issues.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions? Anyone from the community? Robert, the only thing I have, actually two things here. I received the emails, I guess you have a new person that's working there in regards to the, and I don't want to put this point ad nauseum, but the prospective four-way stop that could be done on King and Kalihi. I know it's going to take state and county. That I'm well familiar with that. I was trying to get a hold of your person there. It's just, what is the collaboration between the two? Is there a timeline? Is that something that's worthwhile? Who's going to take, I could say ownership, but because is the state going to be more? Is the county going to be more? What I mean is who's going to start the dialogue first on that? Because, again, we don't have all the buses like before, so you're going to have a lot more students, and that's just going to be even more crazy. And now is the time to do that. We're trying to, I think that's something that most people would not be against, is having a four-way stop, not all day long, but during the, morning hours of when school starts, when people trying to get, and then leaving school. So I think that that's something, whomever is going to pick up the torch on that would be very helpful to know, as a county or is it going to be state? And then what can we do from our part of the community to kind of help shepherd that along?
Right. Well, so as you may know, that there are certain jurisdictions, right, on different roadways, whether it be state, city, private, what have you. For many of our state roadways, the state decides what they want to do on it, and then they task the city with maintaining or operate. Like in the case of traffic signals, the state doesn't operate traffic signals, but if it puts up a signal at an intersection, then it gives the city actually has the city operate them, right? Because we have our traffic signal operations and it's all connected. The same thing would be occurring here. And I think the response that was given was that it is state jurisdiction. So it is the state's DOT's decision what they would like to do at that intersection. And then thereafter, it would possibly be up to the city to maintain it. I think you raised the concerns earlier with our state elected officials and our state executive branch representative. So I think that message has been sent, and we can continue to reach out to either the DOT or our overlapping state elected officials in the legislature, but you've already done that. So I think you've gotten the ball rolling. But once again, as a state jurisdiction, it's up to DOT to make that decision.
Okay, no, that's good to know, and then I'll, just, who to talk to, obviously accordingly, again, what I have in mind. That's something about it, I think, from there. I think you guys are, I'm glad that you have people that went and drove and walked or whatever it was to go and look and see these signs. These are small things here, but they add up in terms of just what it contributes to the community. New signs and other things of this nature, so I'm sure it's much appreciated. That's all I have for right now. I can't think of anything else, so unless you guys have anything else you thought of. Thank you very much, and I appreciate all your time and everything that the councilman does. Thank you so much. And you as well, Robert.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Okay, Council Member Tyler de Santos Tam.
Lynn.
That is not here.
Lynn.
Aloha.
Oh.
Aloha. To Pro Tem Chair Farm and board members, community members. I'm Lynn Robinson representing Council Member Dos Santos Tam. I hope you have hard copies there in person, but I put a link to council members' newsletters. So this month and all the months before can always be found on the website. I did want to say before I go into my report that if any of these issues that have been discussed earlier fall into District 6, I want to strongly encourage you to reach out to me personally. I'm the Constituent Services Director in Council Member's office. So I'm the one that puts in requests for all things. So Council Member, sometimes things do need to be elevated, and he actively engages with our departments. But even if you feel like it's redundant, I'll put my email in the chat, and I know that the mayor's office will diligently follow up, but I can also put in a request for investigation and service report, so that if you think that it's helpful and it's a kind of a way to track and give the board updates kind of more real time about referrals and updates for status updates. So please don't hesitate, and you don't have to wait for these board meetings either. It would be fantastic if anyone proactively wanted to reach out to me. Then maybe I would have updates for you either real time prior or at the board without having to wait another month. So that's all about that. And again, I'll put my contact information into the chat. Just a few kind of highlights. I know that we had extensive testimony last month about 1212 Richard Lane, the raw sewage problem that had gone on and on. It got quite complicated. I'm pleased to report that the homeowners came together. They met with the city managing director's office and council member, and they have come together and have committed to doing those funding and implementing those improvements to fix those sewer lines. That work has already started. So yeah. So thank you for facilitating and giving, that tenant the space to talk about how hugely important it is to have clean and safe spaces to live. And it's very good that the city was engaged, but it really wasn't the city's Kuleana, but it's a really good story and a collaborative effort to move that forward. So also the Kalihi Uka game room on Kalihi Street. I don't know if you are familiar. I hadn't previously reported about this, but that was shut down on the 27th of July. So no more. The landlord has been given notices of violation, and those include requirements to remove any infrastructure that would support illegal gaming in that space. So I've been on site visits with the Kalihi Uka principal on several occasions, and that was a huge concern. And we're still working on safety and improvements for the park that's just right across from there. But we're glad to report that the game room is now gone, and we're still working diligently, to shut down all of them. So as far, I thought that this is my favorite so far. So we had a request for higher fine signs in the school district over near Palama Elementary. And the Department of Transportation Services reported to us this month that those signs will be going over on School Street. And when we see these signs in other areas, they're great deterrents for speeding. There's been considerable problems with excessive speeding and accidents in that area. So I'm glad to see that the signage will be going there, and happy to report that to you folks. I don't have anything else in my report, but I would be happy to take any questions or take anything back to the council member. Or like I said, I'll make sure that you have my contact information for other community concerns.
Okay, any comments, questions? Good.
Hi, so this is Doris House. I spoke with you a while ago when we were working on Kanoa Street, and I would just like to say thank you to the council member and all of you that worked so hard, because like I mentioned earlier, now we're seeing the Kapuna out walking in the evening. The little kids are out again. There's nobody cruising, looking for drugs or no illegal, and it's actually staying clean there. We had a neighborhood cleanup that we all joined into. And I'm just really, really thankful for all the work that your office put into it. And I appreciate it. The whole neighborhood appreciates it. So thank you.
Well, of course, I will take that back. And that's been another beautiful collaborative effort. So community members, right, other departments, HPD, you know, all of us. And I always, we do want to remember the work that that Councilmember Cordero did before Councilman Dos Santos Tam was in office. So what I would like to also say about that moving forward is that we did get one call that maybe someone was setting up an encampment over there, and that got nipped in the bud. So we still need eyes and ears, and I'm the one to call. You know, if you could absolutely call 911, but if you feel like it's something that, again, we need maybe some PFM or, you know, to actually move stored property or anything like that, I'm here to help with that. But I will take your comment back.
We also appreciate that the gaming room is gone and that there's no action there, because I've heard rumor that they come back pretty soon, and that one looks like it's gone. So the neighborhood is just different. Like it's just wonderful. So thank you.
I'm so glad to hear that. So I think that part of a key piece in that is holding landlords accountable, right? So we're going to de-incentivize and have fines if they're going to still have an infrastructure that'll support those gaming systems. So I'll take all of that back. Thank you.
Okay.
Good, Curtis.
Hi, thanks Lynn for all your work with Richardson Lane and also with the gambling rooms. I sent you an email regarding North School Street, and I'm curious if there's any updates about the roads being repainted or the investigation. What's it called again? The thing that you were talking about?
Like a riser, right? The request for service, and request for investigation and service report. So
there we
go. There has been, so the Department of Facility Maintenance has assigned a service request number, which means it's in the queue. But the answer that we have and usually get is they will be able to do that work when resources are available. So it's kind of open-ended. So if you know, by next month you don't see that it's done, or I don't see that it's done, I will follow up and with the department and put in a new riser. But it's kind of it's a great system, it really is. But specifically for these faded crosswalks and street lines, street signs, things that are like replacements, they put in these service requests, and they really do, when they can, go out and take care of them. And I might not see it. So I don't get another notice that says work is complete. So, but I do have something that says that it's been referred, and that they'll get it done as soon as they have, you know, it's in the queue. So
thank you, Lynn.
Of course. Of course.
Hi, Evelyn Cullen here. I have a request. Ke'eli Kolani School now utilizes the front of its school on Queen Emma Street as a drop-off zone in the morning for kids. Signs do say no parking from 6 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., which falls perfectly into school hours. However, there's lots of cars that still park there because there wasn't a need, but now that we want to utilize that space, we do call HPD every morning to come and help us assist with that. So maybe Tyler can help us with that, having school drop-off zones in the morning or something like that, because it legitimately they shouldn't be parking there.
Are you saying that maybe we need better signage?
Yes, I would say better signage. School drop-off.
To say school drop-off zone. Did I see over there that there's just kind of temporary signage, or there's kind of faded previous signage?
There's actually signage that I did see and read, which says cars shouldn't be parked there. Our school also has banners there, but people that park there don't pay any attention to them. So I'm looking for more permanent solutions on behalf of myself as an employee there
Sure.
for the kids' sake.
We can absolutely look into getting better signage out there. And it's very helpful to call HPD as well. Until we can get signage out there, maybe they can just kind of do a patrol or have a presence there so that people feel like they're going to need to, right, follow the rules, not park.
Yeah, so HPD has been showing up, but I think signage would help.
So it's on Queen Emma across from the school, right?
In front of the school by the flagpole across to the church.
By flagpole, yeah, okay.
So that's a metered parking right in front.
Okay, I will absolutely put in a request for that, and we'll see what, hopefully we can, anything that just so you know, not to deter anyone from from us putting in requests for improvements in signage. Anything that would be not a replacement, but would be something that would be new, would not just go to the Department of Facility Maintenance and get a service request and go in the queue. That will be reviewed by the Department of Transportation, and many times takes a little bit longer. So I'm just putting it out there just for the sake of, for all of our expectation management, but it sounds like it's needed and necessary. So let's put in the request.
I'll share that with my administration.
Thank you.
If there's any other, anything else over here? Lynn, thank you very much. Please convey our thank yous again once to Council and Tyler Santos Tam and all the hard work that you guys have done here thus far.
My pleasure. I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Aloha.
Good night. Aloha. So again, we're striking item 9 because that's indicative of having the elections. Community resources. Yeah, that was there's a survey that they have on there. It should be good, I think, next month. So it's on for a while. So this is still relevant. So when this does actually air next month, this survey will be relevant. It's the Office of Climate Change Sustainability Resilience Office, Long-Term Disaster Recovery and Post-Disaster Mitigation Plan. Personally, I think they should actually bring out what those things are and how they're all different, but that's a different story. The announcements of the next Palama Neighborhood Board meeting, number 15, is scheduled to be on Wednesday, September 20th at 7 p.m. The Palama Neighborhood Board, number 15 recordings can be seen on Olelo at channel 49 or at www.olelo.org/live at the time, the first Monday of each month at 9 p.m. and the second and fourth Thursday of each month at 11 a.m. You can also find the archives of handouts and reference materials apropos to Kalihi Palama Neighborhood Board number 15. If you're looking at this online, there's a thing you can click on there, and that will get you to the drive folder. Is there anything else? If not, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. We adjourn at 9:05.
Thank you, everybody.
Now, what am I gonna do with this?